with Atmos, you can see we have all of these little dots floating around this little virtual head. All of these dots represent individual pieces of audio. So if it's a stereo track, there's going to be one on the left, one on the right, separate dots. And those dots are our objects. That's really the big thing with Atmos, is the objects instead of just having your surround bed. If I put a guitar right here and then listen to it in another room, that guitar all of a sudden is still right here, even though the room is 10 times bigger. It's really such a huge part of Atmos, is having objects be exactly where you put them in one room, going to another room, into a theater, it doesn't matter, same spot. It's awesome. In Atmos, you have your beds and your objects. The beds are really no different than your surround mixes for 5.1 or 7.1, where you're summing it to those channels, and what you get is what you get. What's coming out of your bed speakers is what will just come out of those bed speakers in any room. So depending on where those speakers are in the room, it's going to sound a little different. But for some instruments like drums and bass, that's kind of what you want. You want them to really give you the basis. They're bed layers, but they're also just kind of a base layer to all the music happening around. And then objects tend to be those instruments that you want to have a little bit more intricacy with in the mixing process, where you want them to be in very specific places instead of just in general places around the room. With objects, you have a lot more freedom with verticality. You can take a piano sound that maybe it's just the high end of the piano, giving you some nice little flourishes here and there, and you could have them in front of you or kind of beside you, but they sound amazing when you put them above you. It could be a little in front, a little in back, but the verticality of having these fun little flourishes and high-end instruments actually high up in the room, is wonderful. It really just adds so much more of a layer to music than just the surround. Another really important part about Atmos for music is, because all of your instruments are individual objects, there's a lot more room to introduce dynamics into the music. Atmos is both limiting and freeing in that aspect, where you can't have a master bus or a mix bus on an Atmos mix, because it would have to be on 120 separate tracks. The Atmos delivery format is a full multi-track wave file that has all of your instruments that are going around as separate entities. They're very large files. So it's limiting in the sense that you can't always have a really heavy master bus, mix bus punching. But on the opposite side of that, it creates so much more dynamics and just width and openness to music that you can't get when you're summing everything into two channels. Instead of having your two channels, you have 120. It's like being surrounded by all of the instruments that are playing around you instead of them all coming together into one center area. When I'm mixing Atmos for music, I'm really thinking about how can I create an environment that immerses me into the music. It's not just about feeling the music how it is in stereo, but it's about feeling it around you and just being so immersed in what you're listening to that you forget about the world around you. Another way that I like to think about it is that Atmos for music is sort of a hug. You have a hug surrounding you just of music and sound, and it's just such a wonderful experience.